everyone, and welcome to the brave new world of hotel distribution. So we are just giving a minute or two for everyone to come on, and then we will start this. So while we wait for people, we will start a bit of an introduction about HSMAI. So I'll start with myself. Good morning, I'm Sonnia Singh, and I'm spearheading the initiatives of HSMAI in India as we expand in the region. So about HSMAI, we are a non-profit global association of sales, marketing, revenue management professionals, as well as operational heads of the hospitality industry. Founded in the United States in 1927, HSMAI is an individual membership organization. We have close to 7,000 members across 41 countries worldwide. With a very strong focus on improving the knowledge and the skills of people working in or managing the commercial disciplines in hotels and resorts. We have a strong focus on education as well. HSMAI actually has become the industry champion in identifying and communicating trends in the hospitality industry for our members and our partners. Membership and participation with HSMAI offers training, networking, and conference events for career development in the hotel and hospitality industry across the Asia-Pacific region, as well as the rest of the world. I will just take a bit more to talk about our academy. The HSMAI Academy, we are proud to present it because it's the most ambitious initiative in the realm of education for the commercial disciplines as well as leadership management. We have a range of courses with learning experience online, face-to-face workshops as well, certifications and qualifications, and they are a credible source of certifying you as a leader in your domain. So the Academy was launched in 2017 to address the gaps in learning available for hotel staff working in or wanting to work in the fields of either digital marketing, revenue management, or sales. So the first program we built with the help of hoteliers. Sorry, this is 100% online with 10 courses designed to provide some hands-on learning for people who have less than 3 years of experience in revenue management, or for those who are already in revenue management, but maybe with less than 3 years of experience. Our courses actually help you get ready for the revenue role or for a digital marketing role. And you can find more on our YouTube channel as well. So our specialized content actually helps to fuel sales, inspire marketing, and optimize revenue. And every content, every aspect of the content and the material has been specifically designed and developed for those involved in hotel sales, marketing, and revenue management functions, and designed by hoteliers for people with responsibilities which could range from entry level to an advanced level.
Morning, everyone. Sonia, can you confirm that you can see my slides clearly?
Oh, yes, very well.
Excellent. So I'm very excited to be here this morning and present some insights on channels and segments, as Sonia pointed out, and a ringside view of what's happening in our market, and probably help you with some strategies to fish where the fishes are, and a little bit of a perspective which is away from your day-to-day hotel and competition, and have a larger perspective. So to start, let's look at right through the pandemic, how has airline reservations and hotel reservations behaved? And we have marked out the first wave and the second wave and the Omicron. And you can see the green line, which is airlines, and the blue line, which is net hotel reservations, how they have performed. Long story short, as we stand today in April, airline reservations are at 58% pre-pandemic, and hotel reservations are at 85% pre-pandemic. Now, the question could be that why is airline reservation so low and why is hotel reservations so high? It's very clear that international borders for our country was opened only on March 27th. So international traffic has not yet fully come back. People are still adding capacities. It takes a while. But what's really good news that irrespective of international borders, we have a very resilient domestic market, which the Indians figured out during COVID, revenge travel, et cetera, that people were very keen to travel, try out other accommodations, etc. So they have really put on the demand. Looking forward into where the airline reservations are in the next 2 months, you can see May and June. It's mostly domestic. There is a little bit of Middle East and other Asian countries, but by and large, it's people from Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad who are traveling. So Indians have really not yet started traveling in numbers to Maldives and Dubai and Bali. It's probably still best kept for the film stars for media appearance, but traveling public are still exploring our beautiful country, and what could be better than this. Moving on, let's look at occupancy through the pandemic in India. And this is data until April 14th. You can see that the red line, which is the line of maximum interest, is 2022, and the green line is 2019. And anywhere that I go to, owners, hotel companies, brands, they're all trying to benchmark themselves and against 2019. So I thought that this benchmark is quite significant. You can see that India has already beaten in terms of occupancy the 2019 numbers. And the way April is going, it's a most definite trend that it will be above 2019. So in subsequent slides, we will see that the crisis that we saw was more of a demand crisis than of a price crisis. As soon as demand comes back, prices will be back. And that we are seeing in many cities and destinations across the country. I was told that in Mumbai, it was sold out for the last 2 weeks, rates going more than 20,000 rupees in some 5-star hotels. So that's like music to our ears. But we have to take some learnings from what has happened in the past and what the current trend is telling us. So I thought of actually looking and benchmarking India against the most advanced economies of US and Europe, both the past and the future. If you can see, aggregate occupancies are in percentage terms quite comparable, though in small numbers, percentage could be misnomers, but still there is a story here. But what the story is telling us that most of our business in the country is last minute. If you compare May, June, July, August, September, there's hardly any business in the books compared to the advanced economies where they are building substantial business on the books. And I will actually lay it out a little more as we go forward, and also what are the learnings that we can take from these trends. So here we are looking at lead time. And I have actually shown same day up to 7 days and broken it down to the to 1 day before arrival, 2 days, and 3 to 7 days, so on and so forth. What is interesting is 49% of the bookings are still being made within the week of arrival. And if you compare this in the last 2 years, it was 62% last year and 71% in 2020. So the story is that we are coming close to 2019 figures. So in a nutshell, although short booking windows are a fact, it is clear that we are getting closer to 2019, with the exception of the same day bookings. So for hoteliers, it's important to see how they are prepared to deal with this same day arrival. Because of the pandemic, there has been massive staff cuts in most hotels. And for revenue leaders, sales and marketing leaders, what strategy do we have, not only to price on the short lead time windows, but also what marketing strategies are being applied? And it is clear that any sales leader, revenue leader who can push this lead time windows far will be the winner in this game. And we will see some of that going forward. Now, this is segmentation for April. And I particularly didn't want to take a look at year to date because it will give distorted numbers. We had Omicron, and there is no point of showing in the future because of shorter lead time. So we are just looking in the month for the month. So if you look at how the market segments are, pandemic actually displaced the negotiated share, which is in the left, to discount and last minute between 2020 and 2021. Now, thankfully, this is finally shifting this April. Negotiated is actually gaining more traction thanks to the local corporate business. And what is of interest is this is without the arrival of the long haul flights. So with that coming in, we will see a very, very resurgent corporate and leisure negotiated business. Retail is already higher than the share in 2019. It was 12% in 2019, it's 15% in 2022 April. So this is just the month of April, which is traditionally quite a strong month in our country. And what's of interest is the group. You know, India, I think, is an exception where group business is not only substantial, but it often commands a premium than other segments. So it does not bring down the ADR, but it actually takes up the ADR. And how group is behaving in some strong markets, I have tried to capture in the following slides. Interesting that when I was preparing this with a colleague of mine, she said this is like a flower in full bloom and then it is closing out and then blooming again. In terms of channel, if you look at India, direct business into the hotel has been historically the largest channel. But with the pandemic, that almost became the single operative channel, clearly showing lack of consumer confidence. Some channels like GDS, etc., actually quite disappeared, and they're slowly coming back. And being a GDS company, I have to delve on that a little bit, which I will do. But what's of interest is if you look at GDS, OTA, brand, that will be around 50% of the overall business. So today's sales revenue leaders, if they are not focusing on online, they're probably going to be leaving money on the table. This is pacing. I'm not going to spend too much of time, but just for you to understand, in April, it was 21%, 22% as of March 14th, added 25%, and then 11% as of April 7th to April 14th. And by this estimates, I think this is clearly going to overtake the March numbers. And in terms of segmentation for us, you can clearly see that discount and group segment are clearly the largest segments. Also negotiated segment, as we saw, is clearly coming back. The rest of the other segments are really not that significant. Retail is also growing traction, but that's all last minute, which needs to be kept in mind. And as I said before, I've tried to capture some of the segments in the well-performing markets, Goa being the poster child. If you look at it, Goa also has a large group business, which is probably contributing to their ADRs. But as we go forward, if I show you the same thing in May, Goa does not have a huge group business, which actually tells us that it is still very last minute. Being a GDS company, we have to talk a little bit about the GDS. GDS recovery has been until now very modest in India compared to the rest of the world. But this is picking up very strongly since the beginning of 2022, with March showing the largest numbers. So anyone who is trying to focus on corporate negotiated business travel cannot ignore this segment at all. And the good news is that we believe that in another quarter or so, it will be at the same pace of 2019. This morning, I was actually trying to take a look on how the ADRs are. And we can see that, as I said in the past, this is more of a demand crisis than of a price crisis. With demand coming back, you can see that the ADRs are catching on with 2019 figures. Don't focus so much on November, December with high ADRs because there are very, very little occupancy there. So in summary, I would like to say that it is short booking window. Hoteliers have to be prepared to price and market themselves in this short lead time, and also have strategies to push that lead time out and steal some share from your competition to emerge as a winner in this game. That is all. If there is time for Q&A, we will deal with some questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Joy. Now over to Ram for some insights.
Thank you so much, Joy. Sonnia, just confirming you can hear me. And sharing my screen. Can you see my screen, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you so much, Joy. The data was, of course, very encouraging to see that the country is bouncing back and bouncing back really fast. That's exactly what we are seeing across all our hotels as well. With business coming back, I think the next big challenge is how do we capitalize on demand? How do we distribute our hotels better across all channels? So just trying to make some sense of what the world of distribution is today and how is it that we can optimize that as hotels. Simplistically put, distribution is nothing but managing content, images, availability, rates, inventory, etc. across marketplaces. Marketplaces could include your booking engine, GDS, OTAs, meta searches, wholesalers, etc., etc. It's actually become a lot more dynamic than ever. Every year it is becoming a little bit more complicated. And one of the best infographics or examples that I've seen of the hotel distribution is the one that Shiji had published some time back. It doesn't show very clearly on this screen out there because it is vast. But I would recommend that you Google this up, or I'll attach a link along with the presentation. You could just type up hotel distribution chart by by Shiji, and you would see how complicated it is today. The most interesting thing about today's distribution world is everything is connected. No rate is actually stuck in one channel when you are distributing. Every rate that you distribute in one channel ends up one way or another into another channel out there. There isn't, unless it is a completely negotiated rate out there. There isn't any more demarcation or segmentation of channels out there. And that is very important to realize that all the channels are at the end of the day competing for the same piece of business. And it becomes very important for us because it's not just hotels now competing with each other. It is channels also competing with each other along with the hotels for the same piece of business. Life was actually very easy. So if you actually step back to see how did distribution reach to where it was today, in the beginning, there was just one channel. It was just direct. People were calling up the hotels or writing to hotels by fax, right? Or by telex asking for reservations. Then we had some more companions joining us. We had the central reservation offices coming up. We had the central reservation systems coming up, the GDS coming up. As time progressed, the party became a little bit longer. We had more people joining our party. So we had OTAs joining our party somewhere around about the 2000s. We had a lot of OTAs coming in out there by the time the 9/11 happened out there. It was post that the entire OTA business started jumping in, bed banks started coming in. So the party became a little bit more bigger out there. There were more people competing for the business. By the time the 2010s came in, the party suddenly turned out to be a carnival. We suddenly had a whole lot of distribution channels. There was a lot of people right now fighting for the same piece of business. We have meta searches that we are distributing to. There are the sharing economy websites like the Airbnbs. Airbnbs is now selling a lot of hotels as well out there on their website. We have social media platforms selling in hotels. We have micro influencer sites who are focusing on selling hotels. Fliggy is a great example out there. And we have the super apps of the world now, almost everyone who is generating business out there. So what's coming up next? Well, a lot more is coming up in the coming years. And of course, Nikita is going to be talking a lot about NDC and what is the future as far as distribution is coming up out there. So I'm not going to be spending too much of time on that area, but we will see what is the future looking out there in the upcoming slides. One thing that is definitely happening is there is a lot of mergers and acquisitions that is happening. The big boys or the big ladies are eating up the smaller ones. It is becoming a much more smaller world with much more stronger players out there. Some examples as to what happened in the last part of the year was, of course, American Express taking over Agencia. Now, the interesting part out there is the second line, which did not gain too much of prominence out there, saying that as a part of the transaction, Expedia Group became a shareholder in GPT, and Expedia has entered into a long-term agreement to provide accommodations supplied to GPT. Interesting part out there. Agoda has announced the launch of Beds Network, which is a wholesale distribution platform to help distribute wholesale rate more efficiently and effectively. I know as revenue managers, there are rate parity issues we have with certain platforms that I will not be taking names of, but we can see as to where a lot of these things are happening out there. Booking Holdings as well has acquired Get a Room, which is a B2B distribution of hotel rooms. So again, you got a lot of areas where there is a overlap of wholesaler rates, overlap of static rates, which is coming into your public platforms. And that is what is happening today if you have to simplify it. There is no rates which is actually limited to one specific channel. The travel agents, when they are looking at any particular channel, they have an option to look at the best rate option, which suits the customer requirement and offer it accordingly. Any channels that you're looking at is actually cross-selling to each other. A simple example, how does that affect our life is, I have hidden the hotel out here, don't want to see the hotel, don't want to announce the hotel name, but as you can see, the first rate that you see out here is the official website price of the hotel. This is on Google Hotel Ads. As revenue managers, as commercial leaders, you must all be familiar with this platform, which in fact is one of the most viewed platform by a lot of travelers. Google is the most first point of entry when it comes to search for the vast majority of the world. And you can see as to how there is a lot of websites out here which are undercutting that particular platform. And you have a lot of names out here which are not necessarily sites that you are distributing to on a regular basis. So this clearly shows the example of how static wholesale pricing is entering the public distribution sphere. And what happens in a normal situation? We're just trying to show it in a very simplistic term in terms of a graph. As lead time comes closer, in a typical scenario, the hotel starts increasing its bar rates. Right? You start off on a lower end, maybe 90 days out, and typically you start moving and start increasing your rates as you come closer. And as you increase your bar rates, that's exactly where the wholesale pricing, which is static, the travel agents start to make a lot of money. So redistribution or non-contracted rates entering the public channels is where the biggest challenge is coming in. And it's very important for you to curb this static rate contracts, especially in the future where a lot of distribution is continuing to go in the online world. Static pricing is definitely not the way forward. And if you continue to go with static pricing, like I mentioned out here, everybody in the travel chain will win, starting right from the customers to the travel agent. The only one who is losing ultimately revenue on the table is the hotel. So today, what is happening? We saw where it all started. It started from booking direct over a phone call to the emergence of GDSs, OTAs, meta searches, etc. What is coming up in the future? Mobile commerce, digital payments are all ruling the roost today. With 4G and the 5G network which is coming up in the country, this is only expected to go faster. COVID has actually accelerated this particular trend as well. People are more comfortable booking online, consuming shopping online. Super apps is definitely going to be something that we're going to keep hearing more and more. Almost everyone is trying to enter this area, and travel is a key part of the super apps play. Uber has already entered this play with travel in the UK. We've seen Amazon trying to play with it. We have seen Flipkart trying to do that. Tata has launched Tata New, which is its super app evolution. So we are going to see more and more consolidation of super apps coming in, and this could be another channel. What is going to be interesting is, where are the feeds for these channels going to come in from? Are they going to take it from GDS? Are they going to take it through a channel manager? Are they going to do direct connects with your systems? These are questions that we all need to start finding as to who is going to be feeding an inventory into these kind of super apps. We all need to be looking definitely towards China to see how they are using travel super apps out there. There are multiple examples as to how travel super apps are being implemented out there. They are apps which are using the traditional OTA model. There is hotel microsites on some of these apps, and of course, online shop model, which is running out there as well. Fliggy is a good example. Fliggy is also a great example when it comes to doing influencer marketing out there on their platforms. WeChat is actually becoming another big platform for hotel bookings in China. WeChat is becoming the app for the Chinese audience that they're using, starting right from communicating to each other, to shopping, to digital payments, and of course booking travel. So WeChat has an option for hotels to actually run their own bespoke booking engine. In fact, our hotels in China have already started to have their own booking engines on WeChat, and they are seeing transactions coming in from the audiences out there. Everyone is playing the loyalty game. We have seen that out there. I think with Google starting to reduce the cookie policy out there, I think hotels are starting to focus more and more on controlling and taking over the first party data out there. So it's very important for us to capitalize on our loyalty programs, so that we can start shifting any kind of third party traffic towards the first party traffic. Online shops, like I mentioned, which is social media platforms, are all emerging as a large part in the travel inspiration journey of the customer out there. So TikTok, unfortunately banned in India, but is playing a big role in terms of travel inspiration in Asia and China in particular. Instagram, Facebook, they are all playing a great role in terms of driving in traffic. So again, these are distribution platforms where you are distributing images, content. I think it's very important for us to realize that when you are talking about distribution, we're just not talking about rates. We are talking about a lot of other things outside of just rates. And of course, the last part of the entire distribution, what is happening right now is there's a lot of conversations around blockchain. In fact, the first set of blockchain transaction reservations have started happening. Pretty basic at this point of time. There isn't any connectivity right now. Blockchain, there's a huge discussion we could have around just that. I think the biggest challenge we have in blockchain is, how does it integrate with our systems? We all know that most of our hotel PMSs and CRSs are legacy systems. Can they interact with the blockchain models? Where are these reservation systems going to get their availability rates, inventory from? NFTs was at a peak. The peak is still continuing, but unfortunately, I think at this point of time, NFT, instead of capitalizing on long-term prospects, I think people are looking to make bored apes, JPEGs, and make some money from it. But I'm sure at some point of time, they're going to move out into it. And of course, metaverse. I think metaverse is a very interesting topic, especially in the travel inspiration journey, where people could actually experience your hotel virtually, your destinations virtually, before, and maybe possibly book virtually out there. We are already seeing online shoppings happen in the metaverse. There are examples of how supermarkets are trying to do replicate online shopping experiences in the metaverse. Is there a way for you to not just sell your rooms, but also sell ancillary products of yours in the metaverse? Quite possible. Metaverse, according to me, we are in the days of rotary normal telephones right now, as far as metaverse is considered. And I think in the next 10 odd years is where we are going to see this huge explosion that is going to happen to see. So we'll see where it goes. Do we reach the smartphone world, or we just drop it off somewhere else? So with so much happening, what is it that we can do? There are things that is under our control. There's a lot of things that is not in our control, and we wouldn't be able to do much out there. But I think it's very important for us as hotels to understand what is the demand that we are getting, where are we getting, which channels are we getting, which source markets are we getting. If we know the source markets, what are the channels that are working in the source markets? Are we getting our fair share or not getting our fair share? Understand more about the top, middle, and lower part of the funnel from Google and Analytics, etc. Very important to capture as many relevant eyeballs as possible. I mean, relevant is a very key word out there. We all talk about capturing as many eyeballs as possible, but it's important for us to capture the eyeballs that matter, the people who are going to be making booking with us. Channel integration is a must. Don't go running around trying to get up with all the channels out there if there isn't a way for you to manage the rates automatically via an integration. Because if you are going to be managing it manually, please be rest assured that you're going to end up with a lot of inventory and rate disparity, leading to guest dissatisfaction out there. Very important to build and focus and foster your customer, be it in terms of reviews, be it in terms of loyalty program, be it in terms of ensuring that you are offering the best prices across all the channels, especially your own direct channels. Like I mentioned earlier, important to own the customer. Loyalty programs are a great way. Once you own the customer, please remember that your cost of transaction, cost of acquisition starts to go down every further stay that guest starts to stay with you. There is a lot of shifts happening right now. Joy made some points out there in his presentation, and we are actually seeing direct bookings starting to grow very fast in our business mix across all our hotels. And I'm hoping that most of you are seeing similar trends across your hotels as well. So start getting ready to see what is happening. There are parts of the world where Expedia and Agoda are no longer the big players that they were. They are newer players coming into the market in the OTA space. So start, be aware of the market realities and what is changing out there. So last final words, be flexible, continue to pivot on your, keep changing, keep pivoting, and of course, always keep reviewing your strategy. Be ready for any changes that is happening out there and be ready to adapt to those changes. So that brings me to the end of the presentation. Any questions out there? Happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ram. That was really, really insightful. Any questions, anybody, before we move to Nitesh? Over to you, Nitesh.
Okay, thank you, Sonia. It took me some time to find the mute button. All right. So first of all, very good morning to everyone on this webinar today, and very pleased to be here, standing along with fellow hoteliers. And it's very good for you to have invited an aviation specialist talking about what's happening on the airline industry to share with you guys now. And I'm very thankful to Ram. It was very insightful comments on how the retailing space is changing, how we are evolving, what are the new digital trends. And that sets the scene right enough to talk about what's happening in the airline world. Now, all these digital trends that are happening, people like Airbnb, Netflix, what they're doing is that they're really changing the customer's expectations with the user experience that they provide end to end, with the personalization that they offer. This is really what is trickling down to everyone. So when a traveler is out there to buy travel, they are expecting the same amount of experience as to call when they are booking travel. And this is what we are seeing in the airline industry as well, because we don't work in isolation and we have a similar set of trends as well. What this digital revolution has done is that it has changed travelers' perception. And what the travelers are wanting today is that they want to compare offers. They want to see what all offers are there across board. And they want to make that choice that best suits them. And another point is that they just don't want the booking experience to be right, but they want the experience to be right across their journey, right from when they're shopping, the inspiration search, shopping for the booking, and then what even happens till the services are rendered. So the end-to-end journey is very much required. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, which are the providers in our case, or in my world, it is the airlines. What they really want is they want to control the offer. For very long, they thought that their offers were not really controlled by them, but by intermediaries. What they really want is to control their offer. And the reason behind is that they really want to achieve the same level of personalization that these other retailers in the digital world are doing. And they want to reach to the customers and serve them in the channel that they prefer. Now, giving rise to these points, this is how NDC was born, and this is what I will be talking about to you today. So in simple terms, NDC is new distribution capability for the people who are unversed with that. And what is it? It's a new XML standard that's created by the Association of Airlines that was done in 2012. It has gone through a lot of maturity stages. And this is now when the airlines are moving from proof of concept to something which is more industrialized. Now, what is NDC bringing on the table? What was not there? Because if you might challenge me saying XML is nothing new, it has been there in the hotels and other industries for far too long. But what fundamentally changes is the concept in which it is sold. It changes from a PNR and a ticket number, which you all relate to, which you see in your itineraries, to changing to something offer and order. And the end game is reaching an objective to be something called one order, which would replace a ticket to have a one single point of reference, just like what is in the retailing world, where you have a shopping cart with one order reference, and then you might have different sub-elements to it. So this is what would be in the airline world changing. Now, I'll just put up a graphical representation for people to understand a bit more closely on what is changing. So the earlier airline distribution model was based on a push mechanism in which all the inventory availability and everything, rates, fares were given to the GDSs. We created the offer to give to the traveler. Now, what is changing in the NDC world is the basic philosophy, which is changing from a push mechanism to a pull mechanism, in which the same traveler or the same travel agency or whatever the endpoint may be is requesting for a travel offer. The travel offer, and actually the offer is being created on the airline side instead of being created by the intermediary, which is the GDS. So the airline is taking full control of what is out there. And that kind of synergies with some of the points that was also mentioned on the hotel side as well. So anytime now the offer is made, it is directly going to the traveler from the airline. And the channel that will be used will be NDC. Now, what benefits does NDC bring onto the table, or what are the new products that you can see in the airline world? One, as we spoke about, it is the offer and order concept, right? And because of this offer concept, it will be much easier for airlines to create new products and pipe new products out there. Second, it's about merchandising. So it's not just about selling seats and bags that traditionally airlines have been doing, but doing it more smartly. Because now the customer is calling you directly and the airline knows where the request is coming from, they would be able to personalize those offers more intelligently, saying that I know this customer or this country or this parameter needs an extra bag, and that's why how I can sell a bit more of revenue from my side. This is where they will get smarter. Third is dynamic everything. Because it is a dynamically connected by a pull mechanism, everything is dynamic. So every price that is coming is dynamic in nature and is given and is true at that point in time, coming straight out of the airline systems. So this is changing a lot on how airlines will be differentiating their offers. Third, it will indeed improve the way airlines notify customers And as I said, it's not just about the booking experience, but the whole end-to-end journey. So this is where it comes. Conversational UIs, so new age products like chatbots and digital assistants would be much more easier to implement through these NDC APIs rather than that legacy artifact systems. And the digital identity is another concept which is coming in, which was always a trouble connecting with legacy systems, but with these new technologies like NDC, it will be much easier to implement. Now, how are we adopting this NDC philosophy at core of what we do on our side? As you know that for many Doncaster years, we have been connecting to artifact technology and the proprietary APIs. And we are not only connect to Air, but all these other providers as well. Now we are taking this additional pipe along from NDC and then putting it together. And our travel platform has gone a fundamental change to adjust and to adapt all the content coming in through this multitude of sources and to expose them through one single API. So the travel sellers, even though all the things are changing in the background, our travel sellers don't see the complexity that goes behind, but is able to enjoy those wonderful new offers that the airlines would be creating and bringing forth. So they take this benefit of the digital revolution without changing much on their side. So that was a brief speech from my side. With that in mind, I would like to ask one question now, saying that NDC was created with the demands in the airline distribution, with the pain points that the airlines had, what were the evolving needs. So what I would like to have a question to our fellow hoteliers to see, do we see synergies in the hotel distribution world of what we see in the airline world? Do we see a need for NDC-like distribution channel in the hotel industry? And if not, and if there is, are there any takeaways that we can take from the airline distribution side on the hotel side?
Hello, Nitesh. This is Himanshu Rastogi. I represent hotels. I'll go first on this, I guess. First of all, thank
Himanshu, we can't hear
you
you.
very much for the insights that you've shared on the NDC. I think we've been hearing about it for some time. There were quite a few questions.
Himanshu, you are really breaking up.
They have cleared some of those questions.
Himanshu, you're breaking up. Hello, Himanshu, can you hear me?
Oh, am I not audible?
No, you're breaking up. Maybe you please just step away a bit from the mic and then speak. Could you try now, please? Can you hear me? Himanshu?
I think he's logging back in.
Okay, let's wait.
Yeah, he's dropped off a couple of times, so I've had to keep.
I think there's a connection issue.
Panelist. Does anyone else want to talk about, answer that question? Karishma's here.
Karishma has a question.
Let me see if I can get Karishma so she can speak.
So Karishma's question is there a way hotels and airlines can both work on NDC?
So if I may answer that one. So basically what is happening is that in this new world, as we said, that offers in the earlier times were created by the GDSs, right? In newer times, what would be done is that the offer would be created by the airlines. So that also opens up opportunities for airlines to then partner up with hotels and combine an offer, then give it back to the traveler. So a traveler might look, say, I want to travel from Delhi to Singapore and requesting an offer from the airline. The airline might come back, look, I have a flight for $100, but you can also enjoy Marina Bay Sands for say another $80. right, as an additional upsell. So that increases merchandising possibility, and that provides another channel on top of what you have as a regular channel on the GDS. So airlines would be keen to upsell as well on their side, and not just try to sell airline seats, but try to sell a lot more. Could be hotels, could be cars, could be any other merchandising element to it. They can add any other merchandising element to their offer.
Brilliant. So thank you, Nitesh. Thank you for that excellent and very eye-opening presentation. It's great to know that there is NDC happening in the airline space, and I completely agree with you. I think there's a great scope because traditionally that's what sort of third-party intermediaries have capitalized on, that whole flight plus hotel equation. So if we can fix that, I think that would be a brilliant way forward and huge possibilities there. So thank you for clarifying that it's possible. And yes, on the hotelier side, I would say definitely something like an NDC makes a lot of sense for our industry as well. A lot of hotel websites have evolved, to capture guest preferences and to sort of bundle offerings and sort of have a more pull approach rather than a push approach. So we've been working on it in bits and pieces, but surely something like NDC is very revolutionary. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Karishma. That definitely adds to my knowledge on what hotel distribution is. And it's good to know is that we do have synergies on the other side as well. With that said, I'll pass it
for you. There's a question for you.
All right. Okay, I'm popular today.
So from Aditi, hi Aditi. She asks, there are a lot of markets dominated by charter rather than commercial. How does NDC help play a role there? It's a hard one, Aditi. Good question.
That's an interesting question, and because we can look at it many ways, whether it's a commercial challenge that it's a charter against the scheduled flights, or it's a technical challenge because many of these small, if you look at Australia, many of these small islands across Australia, mining towns are not really serviced by scheduled flights, but mostly charter aircrafts, because that's a technical problem. The airfields are not big enough to adopt those A320s and A330s. So they are serviced by Dorniers, and these are small airlines that do not have the right distribution technology to participate in the GDSs. What XML or NDC could bring in is that because it is XML technology, it is much lightweight, and it gets away from the traditional ticketing constructs, like you have to do a fare filing, you have to go to register with IATA, BSP, and all these traditional constructs that come with traditional distribution. If it's a technical challenge with those aircrafts, then or those airlines, then it can be solved with NDC. But I'm not too sure if it's a commercial challenge, how do we handle it? So
thank you so much for answering that, Nitesh. And I'm just wondering, is Himanshu back, or did anybody hear what he was saying?
There's another question here too. I haven't seen that Himanshu has come back. Is there a way hotels and airlines can both work on NDC?
Yeah, that was Karishma's question.
Yeah, already gone through that one.
Yes.
I think that's the only one. Himanshu, where are you?
Unless somebody else wants to take up that question that Nitesh had posed.
Or you could ask Ram or Joy questions as well, if you're ready to. We've only got a few minutes left. Get in fast.
I think many hotel companies aspire to do flight plus hotels on their website.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this will actually democratize distribution to a great extent. It is just the CRS writing another API to the NDC and making that available on their website, especially leisure destinations. Ram, what do you think?
I think I was actually about to just say the same out there. I think when NDC, as and when that becomes a little bit more wide scale, I think one of the biggest challenge we face as individual hotels or brands on website is we only sell hotel rooms, right? Whereas NDC now brings in that one-stop shop solution, which is what kind of drives OTA bookings, where a traveler is able to book flights, cruises, cars, and rooms at the same thing. So it's the entire travel. And an NDC would kind of bring that onto the hotel website, which will narrow the gap down between the OTAs and direct channels. So yep, it is going to make hopefully the playing field a lot more level than what it is today. So yeah, Nitesh, you got a big bunch of people cheering you on in this project.
Thank you. And that's very encouraging to see not just our airline partners and our suppliers, but we also have a good encouragement from the other side of the business, which are hotels. So yes, looking forward to this journey.
Fantastic. I don't think Himanshu has been able to log back, but if anybody in the audience has any questions for any of the speakers, for Ram, for Joy, for Nitesh, please go ahead. Karishma, you can ask another question also.
I was just going to say, so if I may, so this question is for either Joy or Ram, since both of you spoke about AI. I think just like to understand that, how do you see AI being like a disruptor in this whole piece? Any one of you can answer that.
I like
Ram,
that.
you want to go first?
Well, I think as far as AI goes in the distribution space, I think, I don't know, I mean, you guys are I think Nitesh should be the one who's going to do it. I mean, I can't, there's a lot we all want things to happen, but what is today's reality? I think Nitesh is most geared up to answer as to where are we sitting, in terms of us reaching out there.
I'll tell you something, Karishma, before I hand it over to Nitesh. As a listed company, I can't make too much of forward-looking statements. That's a no-no for me. But we are building some big-time CRSs. You must have seen our announcements in the press.
Yes.
And I don't want this to sound like science fiction, but what AI can do is that actually prompt the right rate after comparing what's available, the demand in the market, and what is the right channel for that rate to go in, which probably may not be a public pricing. So AI can do that automatically. And we are moving in that direction.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that sounds brilliant. But then what's going to happen to rate parity?
No, but it is not a public
Whoever
rate.
knows what's going to happen. to
What's
rate-
not to say
all right.
I mean,
Okay,
what's
I got
happening to
it.
rate parity today?
No, if it is
Okay,
not a
I got
public rate, nothing happens to rate parity.
Okay, brilliant. I think that will be brilliant. That is truly disruptive. Very, very, very much looking forward to a development like that.
Taran had a question, actually. So the question from Tarandeep is addressed to me. How do I see the distribution space changing on the wholesale side for hotels, with hotels connecting with Expedia partner services like Marriott and IHG for all their wholesale connections? I think Taran, I mean, I need to first ask you, what changes did you see with IHG partnering with Expedia partner services for wholesale distribution? But of course, we will discuss that when we meet up in person in a couple of weeks. But I think getting the wholesale connectivity streamlined has been a biggest challenge for a lot of hotel companies per se. We saw that as well as to how the wholesale rate leakages are happening. And, partnering with somebody like an Expedia has definitely helped, I'm assuming, Marriott and IHG. But also what it has done on the other side is it's literally made Expedia become like #1 in, or the largest wholesaler out there. Currently, they are only using Expedia as an exclusive distributor of wholesale rates. And I think this is going to be something that is happening. A lot of CRSs are already bringing in the play of having wholesale rate management via the CRS to streamline the distribution of these. I know Synexis is already working on that. They already have that in place. I'm sure TravelClick has its wholesale module sitting as well. So I think yeah, I mean, people want to manage wholesale to get a lot more control over their rates. This would also help us to move away from static pricing, which is the killer of rate parity, which is what is leading to all the rate parity issues that we are facing today, Karishma, to moving towards a lot more sanity in terms of pricing out there, for lack of a better word. Joy, anything out there with regards to wholesale pricing via the managing as a via the CRS?
No, nothing that I can talk about at the moment. Just that the TravelClick brand has disappeared.
Yep, Amadeus, sorry.
So guys, if nobody- Sorry, you didn't get that.
Anybody else got a question there? Oh, there's one on there. There's a one in the Q&A, I think. Trying to get
So
one.
that's the one that I think Tarandeep had said. Is it the same one?
Oh, that's from
Yeah, that's the
Taryn.
one. Yep.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Taryn.
that's the one. Okay, I think we did good on time as well. So if no more questions, then we will thank everybody for attending this webinar. And thank you to the speakers for great insights and great information. And everyone, please watch this space. We'll be coming up with more webinars, as Jackie mentioned, workshop coming up in the second half of the year. I've put in the email ID in case you need any more information from us, and the link as well if you wish to download the recording, which will be ready in about an hour's time. So thank you, everyone. Stay tuned, and we will catch you in our next webinar. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Fabulous webinar today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.